Alright, so the new Harry Potter series has officially kicked off filming, and things are already getting wild. In this video, I'm breaking down everything we know so far. First, I'll take you through the first 2 weeks of filming, leaks, locations, and what scenes they might be shooting. Then we'll get into the latest updates, confirmed cast, big creative changes, and who's playing who. Let's get into it. Alright, so here's the full scoop on what's been going down with the Harry Potter HBO series. So, filming officially kicked off on July 14th, which marks 14 years since the last Harry Potter movie dropped. The series is doing the one season per book structure, and they've already moved through a crazy number of locations in London and around Leavesden Studios, which, if you know your Potter history, is the OG filming spot from the movies. So far, they've rebuilt massive sets there, and by the sound of it, they're not recycling anything. They're starting fresh, designing everything from scratch, and focusing on practical sets instead of digital backdrops. The first few days were mainly at Leavesden, where they filmed scenes with a bunch of extras. Group stuff, so we're guessing maybe Hogwarts hallways, Diagon Alley crowds, something like that. They even brought in a bunch of child extras again on July 25th and 28th for more studio filming, which probably means they're already deep into the early Hogwarts scenes or Muggle school stuff. But it's not just studios. They've been filming out in the wild too, like real-world locations all around London. On July 15th, they took over Jenny's restaurant in Hayes. Whole production team showed up, locked down the place for almost a week, repainted it, and brought in rain machines to simulate a downpour. Now, nothing's confirmed about the scene they shot there, but the fandom's best guess is that it might be that moment when Hagrid and Harry are out shopping in Diagon Alley and then sit down to eat hamburgers at a station cafe. The book specifically says it's at Paddington Station, and while this restaurant isn't Paddington, the setup, rain, small diner, after a long shopping day, kinda lines up. Then, on July 16th, they went to the London Zoo. And this is huge because the reptile house there was in the original film. You know, the scene where Harry talks to the snake and makes the glass vanish. This time, they shot in the reptile section and the penguin section. Leaked photos gave us a peek at Dominic McLaughlin as Harry, plus the actors playing the Dursleys and Piers Polkiss, which confirms we're getting the full zoo outing. Even better, an ice cream van was part of the set, and in those leaked pics, the Dursleys are seen holding ice cream cones, just like in the book, when Dudley and Piers get treats and Harry gets the leftover. So they're sticking real close to the book details here, including the little background moments the film skipped. Then there was the shoot on July 18th on Perrin Road in Acton. This was another fun one. Crews were spotted bringing in a bunch of old 90s model cars, which honestly was a bit of a throwback. And we found out they were filming a residential scene that people believe is the milkman moment from chapter 1 of the book. It's when Petunia opens the window to collect eggs from the milkman because they're too freaked out to answer the door, and Harry's already doing weird magical stuff in his sleep. So if they're filming that scene, we're really going all in on the Dursley madness this time. Alright, now jumping into week 2, things escalated quickly. On July 21st, they were filming at Embankment Station, and Dominic McLaughlin was seen again, this time with Nick Frost's stunt double. Nick's playing Hagrid, by the way, which is kind of inspired casting. The general consensus is that this is the scene where Hagrid takes Harry to Diagon Alley for the first time. Buying robes, getting his wand, the Gringotts visit, all that good stuff. It's such an iconic part of the first book, and now we know it's already being shot. That same day, production trucks and crew were also spotted at the Old Magistrates' Court in Watford. Now, there's been no official word that it's Harry Potter filming there, but here's why people think it is. Other Warner Brothers productions like House of the Dragon and Ghost Rider are also filming around London. But this court building doesn't fit their aesthetic at all. It's not medieval. It's not sci-fi. It's perfect for something like the Ministry of Magic. Even though the Ministry technically shows up later in the books, it's possible they're planting visual seeds for future seasons. And finally, on July 24th, filming moved to JFK School in Hemel Hempstead. No one's been able to confirm the exact scenes yet, but word is this is going to be Harry's Muggle school, the one he attends before Hogwarts, where Dudley bullies him and he gets chased during recess. Makes sense with the timing. So yeah, that's just the first 2 weeks of filming. Already we've seen multiple book scenes being recreated with a ton of accuracy. Characters like Piers Polkiss showing up, rain machines, real animals, real sets. It's actually happening. And here's the thing. Casting isn't even finished yet. They're still looking for actors to play Crabbe and Goyle. Like, the series is still in motion, and we've only seen the tip of the iceberg. But honestly, this early on, it's looking way more faithful to the books than I expected. And the amount of practical effects, on-location filming, and tiny scene details they're including, I'm kinda impressed. Okay, now let's get into the meat of what's new. First up, big casting drop. Asha Sotan has been cast as Angelina Johnson. Now, if you're only familiar with the movies, you probably barely remember Angelina. She's that Gryffindor chaser who later becomes Quidditch captain and marries George Weasley. In the original films, she was played by Danielle Tabor, and then later by Tiana Benjamin, but neither version got much screen time. But now, Asha's playing her as a series regular. That means she's not just showing up once for a Quidditch match, she's going to be a consistent presence, possibly for the entire run of the show. That's a massive glow-up for the character, and it tells us the writers are really digging into secondary storylines from the books that got sidelined in the movies. Asha's known for stuff like Odd Squad and The Friend, and she's even got a role in the upcoming Supergirl project for DC, so she's already on the industry radar. And now, for the big structural news. Season 1 will have 8 episodes. That was confirmed by Adriano Goldman, who is the show's lead director of photography. This guy's a beast. He's won Emmys for The Crown, worked on Andor, and now he's running the visual look for Harry Potter. According to him, he's directing the first 2 episodes, the last one, and one in between. So half the season is in his hands. He also mentioned there are 3 directors of photography total, so they're clearly planning this like prestige TV. It's not just a regular fantasy remake. It's being treated with the same care as something like Succession or The Last of Us. Goldman also talked about how filming with kids brings extra challenges. Because of child labor laws, you can't keep them on set for long hours, and you have to work around school schedules. So to get ahead of that problem, Warner Brothers is literally building a school on set that can house up to 600 students. They're expecting around 150 kids daily, and classes will run from 5:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m., which is wild. That way, the young cast can shoot scenes, take lessons, and come back for night shoots or reshoots without leaving the lot. They're building Hogwarts and Hogwarts School at the same time. Now let's talk visuals, because this is where things get interesting. Both Goldman and Mark Mylod, who's co-show running the series, are pushing for a more grounded, realistic look. Less stylized, more lived in. Goldman said, quote, "This series needs to be more vibrant from an overall visual perspective, and they're intentionally avoiding heavy CGI. Like, they're actually using photochemical effects and real-world tricks to simulate magic where possible." Mylod, who directed episodes of Succession and Game of Thrones, is bringing that HBO flair, high drama, cinematic lighting, smart pacing. Between him and Goldman, the show's got legit Emmy-winning talent behind the camera. Now, character-wise, we've got more names rumored to appear in Season 1. These aren't just your main trio or teachers. I'm talking deep cuts from the books. Charlie Weasley, Daedalus Diggle, Doris Crockford, Pansy Parkinson, Justin Finch Fletchley, even Nicholas Flamel and his wife. There's also Sarah Granger, who is Hermione's mom. And yep, they finally gave her a first name. Oh, and the Fat Friar? Confirmed. Even the random huntsman portrait from the castle? Also showing up. It's kind of wild how deep they're diving. So yeah, the HBO series isn't just a reboot. It's a full rebuild. New structure, deeper characters, practical effects, and a totally different tone. It's currently filming until May 2026, with a release date set for sometime in 2027, and they've already said Season 2 will film back-to-back. So there's no big hiatus between seasons, which is a good sign they're trying to avoid the long gaps that killed the hype for other fantasy shows. Bottom line, this series is shaping up to be a lot more ambitious than people expected. Whether it sticks the landing or not, we'll have to wait and see. But so far, they're building something seriously big. Alright, let's take a moment and talk about who's actually making this massive Harry Potter reboot happen, because this isn't some budget fan remake or rushed cash grab. HBO is throwing serious firepower at this show. Some of the best actors, directors, writers, and designers in the industry are involved, and the cast? Bro, the cast is way deeper than people realize. Let's start with the creative team behind the scenes, because these are the folks shaping how this story gets told. And it's kind of a dream lineup. The main showrunner is Francesca Gardner, and if that name doesn't immediately ring a bell, let me tell you why she's a big deal. She's not new to fantasy or prestige television. She's worked as a writer and producer on His Dark Materials, Medici, and The Man in the High Castle, and she's also been a major player on Succession, which, by the way, earned her 2 Emmys as a producer. So yeah, this isn't her first rodeo when it comes to world-building, tight plotting, or navigating character-driven drama. She's the one running the writer's room and setting the tone for the whole show, and based on her past work, we're getting a series that leans into nuance, depth, and character complexity, which honestly fits Harry Potter perfectly if they're doing it right. Now, alongside Gardner, there's Mark Mylod, who's stepping in as a co-showrunner and the primary director for the series. Mylod's resume is stacked. He's directed episodes of Game of Thrones, Shameless, Entourage, and most recently, Succession, where he teamed up with Gardner. So the two of them already know how to collaborate, and they've both delivered award-winning TV before. Mylod's vibe is very grounded, emotionally tight, and visually sharp. He's not into flashy spectacle just for the sake of it. He likes storytelling that feels raw and authentic. And that's exactly what he's bringing to Hogwarts. Add to that Adriano Goldman, the lead director of photography, who's handling 4 of the 8 episodes in Season 1, including the first and last ones. Goldman is the guy behind The Crown and Andor, so he knows how to shoot historical and sci-fi drama in a way that feels cinematic but also intimate. In an interview, he even said this season is monumental because it has to establish the entire universe from the ground up. Settings that will span many years, all being created right now. That's a pretty massive responsibility, and he's treating it with the kind of care and pre-production effort that tells you this show isn't going to look or feel cheap. And the production design? Also top tier. Costume design is being handled by Holly Waddington, who worked on Clash of the Titans and other big visual productions. So expect wizard robes that don't look like Party City knockoffs. The casting directors are Lucy Bevan, who worked on The Batman, and Emily Brockman, who's doing Deadpool and Wolverine. These aren't lightweight gigs. They're used to casting blockbuster material, which explains why this show's cast list is already stacked with familiar faces, rising stars, and some names you probably didn't expect. So let's run through who's who in the new Harry Potter cast. First, we've got the new trio. Dominic McLaughlin is playing Harry Potter. This dude's a newcomer with a few credits under his belt, but HBO clearly sees something in him. Then there's Arabella Stanton as Hermione Granger and Alistair Stout as Ron Weasley. Again, new faces, but you get the feeling they're going for unknowns to really let these characters stand on their own without being compared too directly to the original trio. And yeah, people will compare, but the casting seems intentional. Now this is where it gets really interesting. John Lithgow is playing Albus Dumbledore. Let that sink in for a second. Lithgow, from Dexter, Third Rock from the Sun, and literally dozens of acclaimed performances, is now the headmaster of Hogwarts. That casting is straight-up prestige. Then we've got Papa Esidu as Severus Snape, which is a bold choice and an exciting one. You might know him from Black Mirror or I May Destroy You, and he brings a totally different kind of energy to the role. A younger, more intense Snape who could really redefine the character. Janet McTeer from Ozark is playing Professor McGonagall. She has that presence, that steel-in-the-spine kind of performance that can absolutely handle the role. Nick Frost, known for Shaun of the Dead, is playing Hagrid, which is inspired. It's not the gentle giant look we got with Robbie Coltrane, but more of a rugged, bumbling but warm version, which fits Frost's range really well. Catherine Parkinson from the IT Crowd is Molly Weasley, and again, perfect fit. Warm, slightly chaotic mom energy, but sharp enough to command the burrow. Johnny Flynn plays Lucius Malfoy, And Lox Pratt, a young actor from Lord of the Flies, is playing Draco. The rest of the adult cast includes Belle Powley as Petunia Dursley, Daniel Rigby as Vernon Dursley, and Amos Kitson as Dudley. So the entire Dursley family is locked in. Then we've got Bertie Carvel as Cornelius Fudge, Paul Whitehouse as Filch, and Luke Thallon as Professor Quirrell. And yeah, Anton Lesser from Game of Thrones is playing Ollivander, which, again, spot on. Louise Brealey from Sherlock is Madame Hooch, Mickey McAnulty is Piers Polkiss, and they've also confirmed Alessia Leone as Parvati Patil, Sienna Musa as Lavender Brown, and Leo Early as Seamus Finnegan. We even know Rory Wilmot is playing Neville Longbottom. And let's not forget Asha Soetan as Angelina Johnson, who we talked about earlier. She's going to be a recurring presence across the entire show. These aren't cameo roles. They're setting up long arcs for characters that were sidelined in the films. This isn't just a do-over of the movies. They're filling in all the blanks, digging deep into the lore, and treating even the minor characters like full human beings with stories worth telling. So yeah, between the powerhouse showrunners, the award-winning visual team, the high-profile cast, and the sheer amount of care going into every element, from wardrobe to school logistics to casting deep cuts from the books, this show is shaping up to be one of the most ambitious fantasy projects HBO has tackled since Game of Thrones. And unlike other adaptations that just skim the surface, this one's clearly trying to give every character, every scene, every magical little moment the space it deserves. Whether it works or not, we'll see. And there you have it, everything we know so far about HBO's new Harry Potter series. It's already looking way more ambitious and detailed than the original films, and they're clearly going all in on doing the books justice. Whether you're excited, skeptical, or just curious to see how this plays out, one thing's for sure. This reboot is gonna be huge. If you want to keep up with leaks, casting news, and filming updates as they drop, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next breakdown. Let me know in the comments which casting surprised you the most, or what scene you really want to see done right this time. I'll see you in the next one.